Good afternoon, everyone. It's wonderful to be back reading live. Today I'm going to read a collection of assorted poems about cats. Yes, cats. But why? Well, about 3 years ago, I put together a similar collection of poems about dogs for this audience, which they seemed to enjoy. I always meant to do a follow-up reading about cats for the cat lovers among us, but a combination of inertia and the COVID lockdown got in my way, and it never happened. But better late than never. About a month ago, I started researching cat poetry, and it's amazing the huge number of poems you find out there. There are poems by everyone from Anonymous to Shakespeare, from Edgar Allan Poe to William Wordsworth. So many, it's impossible to read them all. So I put together a collection written primarily in English, with a few additional ones from other languages in English translations. We'll begin with works by the Britons, followed by a smattering of poems from other cultures, and finally, some American works. And we'll finish with a delightful poem by a mystery guest. Enjoy. And by the way, once the slides start to roll, you'll hear me as a voiceover, but it will not see me. You will see the slides. As you can see, poetry about cats goes back a long, long way, back to the 2nd millennium BCE in the Egyptian culture. And inscribed on the walls of the royal tombs of Thebes in Egypt is the following poem from the 75 Praises of Ra. Praise be to thee, O Ra, exalted Sechem. Thou art the great cat, the avenger of the gods, and the judge of words, and the president of the sovereign chiefs, and the governor of the holy circle. Thou art indeed the bodies of the great cat. Slide, please. And on to the British poets, to some British poets. The Owl and the Pussycat, familiar to many of us, by Edward Lear, and originally illustrated by him. He was an English artist and illustrator, musician and poet, lived from 1812 to 88. The Owl and the Pussycat. The owl and the pussycat went to sea in a beautiful pea-green boat. They had some honey and plenty of money wrapped up in a 5-pound note. The owl looked up to the stars above and sang to a small guitar, "Oh, lovely pussy, oh, pussy, my love, what a beautiful pussy you are. You are, you are. What a beautiful pussy you are." Pussy said to the owl, "You elegant fowl, how charmingly sweet you sing. Oh, let us be married. Too long have we tarried. But what shall we do for a ring?" They sailed away for a year and a day to the land where the bung tree grows. And there in a wood, a piggy-wig stood with a ring at the end of his nose. His nose, with a ring at the end of his nose. "Dear pig, are you willing to sell for 1 shilling your ring?" said the piggy. "I will." So they took it away and were married next day by the turkey who lives on the hill. They dined on mince and slices of quince, which they ate with a runcible spoon, and hand in hand on the edge of the land, they danced by the light of the moon. The moon, the moon. They danced by the light of the moon. Slide, please. From The Kitten and Falling Leaves by William Wordsworth, English poet, Romantic poet, 1770 to 1850. From The Kitten and Falling Leaves. See the kitten on the wall, sporting with the leaves that fall, withered leaves 1, 2, and 3, from the lofty elder tree. Through the calm and frosty air of this morning bright and fair, eddying round and round they sink, softly, slowly, one might think from the motions that are made, every little leaf conveyed symphony of fairy hither tending, to this lower world descending. each invisible and mute in his wavering parachute. But the kitten, how she starts, crouches, stretches, paws, and darts, first at one and then its fellow, just as light and just as yellow. There are many now one, now they stop and there are none. What intenseness of desire in her upward eye of fire. Now she moves the coming prey, lets it go as fast, and then has it in her power again. Now she works with 3 or 4, like an Indian conjurer, quick as he in feats of art, far beyond in joy of heart. Slide, please. On a Cat Aging by Alexander Gray. Scottish poet and writer, 1882 to 1968. On a Cat Aging. Wait a minute, how do we get out of cycle? On a cat aging. He blinks upon the hearth ring and yawns in deep content, accepting all the comforts that Providence has sent. Louder he purrs and louder in one glad hymn of praise for all the night's adventures, for quiet, restful days. Life will go on forever with all that cat can wish, warmth and the glad procession of fish and milk and fish. Only the thought disturbs him, he's not noticed once or twice, that times are somehow breeding a nimbler race of mice. And we have one by Anonymous, Montague Michael. There he is. Montague Michael, you're much too fat. You wicked old, wily old, well-fed cat. All night you sleep on a cushion of silk, and twice a day I bring you milk. And once in a while when you catch a mouse, you're the proudest person in all the house. Slide, please. On the death of a cat. On the Death of a Cat, one aged 10 years and a half, by Christina Rossetti, an English poet whose dates are 1830 to 94. On the death of a cat, who shall tell the lady's grief when her cat was last relief? Who shall number the hot tears shed o'er her, beloved for years? Who shall say the dark dismay which her dying caused that day? Come he amused one and all, come obedient to my call. Come and mourn with time full breath, each one for a separate death. And while you in numbers sigh, I will sing her elegy. Of a noble race she came, and Grimalkin was her name. Young and old, full many a mouse felt the prowess of her house. Weak and strong, full many a rat covered beneath her crushing pat. And the birds around the place shrank from her too clear embrace. But one night, reft of her strength, she lay down and died at length. Lay a kitten by her side in whose life the mother died. Spare her life and lineage, guard her kitten's tender age, and that kitten's name as wide shall be known as hers that died. And whoever passes by the poor grave whose puss doth lie, softly, softly, let him tread now, nor disturb her narrow bed. The Cat and the Wind. Next slide, please. There we go. Sorry about them getting out of sync there. This is by Tom Gunn, an English poet, 1929 to 2004. The Cat and the Wind. A small wind blows across the hedge into the yard. The cat cocks her ears, multitudinous rustling and crackling all around. Her pupils dwindle to specks in her yellow eyes. that stare first upward, and then on every side, unable to single out any one thing to pounce on, for all together as if orchestrated, twigs, leaves, small pebbles, pause and start and pause, in their shifting, their rubbing against each other. She is still learning when the wind is already 3 gardens off. And also by Tom Gunn, Apartment Cats. The girls wake, stretch, and pad up to the door. They rub my leg and purr. One sniffs around my shoe, rich with an outside smell. The other rolls back on the floor, white bib exposed and stomach of soft fur. Now, more awake, they reenact Ben-Hur along the corridor. Wheel gallop as they do, their noses twitching still. Their eyes get wild, their bodies tense. Their usual prudence seemingly withdraws. And then they aesthetic parry lock of paws, blind hug of close defense, tail thump and smothered mew. She abruptly rises, knowing well how to stalk off in wise indifference. Next slide, please. Pinkle Purr. This is by A. Milne, an old friend, English children's writer and poet. His dates are 1882 to 1956. Pinkle Purr. Tattoo was the mother of Pinkle Purr, a little black nothing of feet and fur. And by, when his eyes came through, he saw his mother, the big Tattoo. And all that he learned from her. I'll ask my mother, says Pinkle Purr. Tattoo was the mother of Pinkle Purr, a ridiculous kitten with silky fur. And little black Pinkle grew and grew till he got as big as the big Tattoo. And all he did with her. 2 friends together, says Pinkle Purr. Tattoo was the mother of Pinkle Purr, an adventurous cat in a coat of fur. And whenever he thought of a thing to do, he didn't much bother about Tattoo. For he knows it's nothing to do with her. So see you later, says Pinkle Purr. Tattoo is the mother of Pinkle Purr, an enormous leopard with coal black fur. A little brown kitten that's nearly new is now playing games with its big Tattoo. And Pink looks easily down at her. Dear little tat, says Pinkle Purr. Next slide, please. And the Cats of Kilkenny. And this is by Anonymous again, in his wisdom. And it's a limerick, which I love. There once were 2 cats of Kilkenny. Each thought there was 1 cat too many. So they fought and they fit, and they scratched and they bit, till escaping their nails and the tips of their tails, instead of 2 cats, there weren't any. Cat on the Mat. Next slide, by J.R.R. Tolkien, British writer and poet, 1890 to 92 to 1973. Cat on the Mat. The fat cat on the mat may seem to dream of nice mice that suffice for him or cream, but he is free, maybe walks in thought, unbowed, proud, where loud roared and fought his kin, lean and slim, or deep in dim in the east, feasted on mice and tender men. The giant lion with iron claw in paw and huge ruthless tooth in gory jaw, the pard dark-starred fleet upon feet, the oft-soft from aloft leaps on his meat where words loom in bloom. For now they be fierce and free, and tamed is he. But the cat on the mat, kept as pet, he does not forget. Now we're going to venture into a few other countries. First, Canadian. This poem is called February. It's by Margaret Atwood, born in 1939, still living, and she's best known to Americans by her novel The Handmaid's Tale. February, winter. Time to eat fat and watch hockey. In the pewter mornings, the cat, a black fur sausage with yellow Houdini eyes, jumps up on the bed and tries to get onto my head. It's his way of telling whether or not I'm dead. If I'm not, he wants to be scratched. If I am, he'll think of something. He settles on my chest, breathing his breath of burped up meat and musty sofas, purring like a washboard. Some other tomcat, not yet a capon, has been spraying our front door, declaring war. It's all about sex and territory, which are what will finish me off in the long run. Some cat owners around here should snip a few testicles. If we wise hominids were sensible, we'd do that too, or eat our young like sharks. But it's love that does us in. Over and over again, he shouts, he scores. And famine crouches in the bedsheets, ambushing the pulsing eiderdown. And the wind-chilled factor hits 30 below, and pollution pours out of our chimneys to keep us warm. February, month of despair, with a skewered heart in the center. I think dire thoughts and lust for French fries with a splash of vinegar. Cat, enough of your greedy whining and your small pink nose. Off my face. You're the life principle, more or less. So get going on a little optimism around here. Get rid of death. Celebrate increase. Make it spring. And we have next 4 assorted haiku. Rosebuds surrounded by thorns, mother cat carrying babes in mouth. The cat's eye. In the eyes of the cat, in the color of the sea, on a sunny day in winter. The cat. Flourishing his head around, he licks himself smooth and sleek. The moonlight cat. Ultra pink peony. Ultra pink peony. Silver Siamese soft cat. Gold dust butterfly. And off to Chile, Cat's Dream by Pablo Neruda. Chilean poet and diplomat, lived from 1904 to 73 and won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1971. Don't think he won it for this poem, though. Cat's Dream. How neatly a cat sleeps. Sleeps with its paw and its posture, sleeps with its wicked claws, sleeps with all the rings, a series of burnt circles which have formed the odd geology of its sand-colored tail. I should sleep like a cat with all the fur of time, with the tongue rough as flint, with the dry sex of fire, and after speaking to no one, stretch myself over the world, over the roofs and landscapes, with a passionate desire to hunt the rats in my dreams. I have seen how the cat asleep would undulate, how the night flowed through it like dark water, and at times it was going to fall or possibly plunge into the bare described snowdrifts. Sometimes it grew so much in sleep like a tiger great-grandfather and would leap in the darkness over rooftops, clouds, and volcanoes. Sleep, sleep, cat of the night, with Episcopal ceremony and your stone-carved mustache. Take care of all our dreams, control the obscurity of our slumbering process with your relentless heart and the great ruff of your tail. Okay, now we give the Americans their due. And the first one is Alley Cat Love Song by a poet named Dana Gioia, an American poet and essayist, born 1950 and still living. The Alley Cat Love Song. Come into the garden, Fred, for the neighborhood tabby is gone. Come into the garden, Fred. I have nothing but my flea collar on. And the scent of catnip has gone to my head. I'll wait by the screen door till dawn. The fireflies court in the sweet gum trees. The nightjar calls from the pine. And she seems to say in her rhapsody, oh, mustard brown Fred, be mine. The full moon lights my whiskers afire, and the fur goes erect on my spine. I hear the frogs in the muddy lake croaking from shore to shore. They've one swift season to cure their ache. In autumn they sing no more. So ignore me now, and you'll hear my meow as I scratch all night at the door. Next slide, please. This is My Chair by Paul Gallico, American poet and writer, 1897 to 1976. This is my chair. Go away and sit somewhere else. This one is all my own. It's the only thing in your house that I possess and insist upon possessing. Everything else therein is yours. My dish, my toys, my basket, my scratching post, and my ping pong ball. You provided them for me. This chair I selected for myself. I like it. It suits me. You have the sofa, the stuffed chair, and the footstool. I don't go and sit on them, do I? Then why cannot you leave me mine and let us have no further argument? The Duel by Eugene Field, who's an American poet, 1850 to 1995. The gingham dog and the calico cat sat by the table, side by side on the table sat. 'Twas 12:30, and what do you think? Nor one nor the other had slept a wink. The old Dutch clock and the Chinese plate, there was going to be a terrible spat. I wasn't there, I simply state what was told to me by the Chinese plate. The gingham dog went bow, wow, wow, and the calico cat replied meow. The air was littered an hour or so with bits of gingham and calico, while the old Dutch clock in the chimney place up with its hands before its face. For it always dreaded a family row. Now mind, I'm only telling you what the old Dutch clock declares is true. The Chinese plate looked very blue and wailed, oh dear, what shall we do? But the gingham dog and the calico cat wallowed this way and tumbled that, employing every tooth and claw in the awfulest way you ever saw. And oh, how the gingham and calico flew. Don't fancy I exaggerate. I got my news from the Chinese plate. Next morning, where the two had sat, they found no trace of dog or cat. And some folks think unto this day that burglars stole the pair away. But the truth about the cat and pup is this. They ate each other up. And what do you really think of that? The old Dutch clock, it told me so. And that is how I came to know. Next is a very modern one. It's called The Cat by Lawrence Ferlinghetti. Lawrence Ferlinghetti was an American poet and painter and social activist. He was one of the Beats. He knew Allen Ginsberg, and I can't remember the names of all the others at the moment. He founded the City Lights Bookshop in San Francisco, which is still there. It's in North Beach. He died on February 22nd of this year at age 102. The Cat by Lawrence Ferlinghetti. The cat licks its paw and lies down in bookshelf nook. She can lie in a sphinx position without moving for so many hours, and then turn her head to me and rise and stretch and turn her back to me and lick her paw again as if no real time had passed. It hasn't, and she is the sphinx with all the time in the world in the desert of her time. The cat knows where flies die, see ghosts in motes of air, and shadows in the sunbeams. She hears the music of the spheres, and the hum in the wires of houses, and the hum of the universe in intermediate spaces, but prefers domestic places and the hum of the heater. Hodge the Cat by Sarah Chauncey Woolsey, an American children's writer, 1835 to 1905. Hodge the Cat. Burly and big, his books among good Samuel Johnson sat. With frowning brows and wig askew, his snuff-strewn waistcoat far from new, so stern and menacing his air that neither a black Sam nor the maid to knock or interrupt him dare. Yet close beside him, I afraid, sat Hodge the Cat. This participle, the doctor wrote, the modern scholar cavils at, but even as he penned the word, a soft protesting note was heard. The doctor fumbled with his pen. The dawning thought took wings and flew. The sound repeated, come again. It was a faint reminding mew from Hodge the Cat. Poor pussy, said the learned man, giving the glossy fur a pat. It's your dinner time, I know, and well, perhaps I ought to go, for if Sam every day we've sent off from his work your fish to buy, why, men are men, he might resent and starve or lick you on the sly. Eh, Hodge, my cat? The dictionary was laid down. The doctor tied his vast cravat, and down the buzzing street he strode, taking an often-trodden road, and halted at a well-known stall. Fishmonger, spoke the doctor gruff. Give me 6 oysters, that is all. Hodge knows when he has had enough. Hodge is my cat. Then home, puss dined, and while in sleep he chased a visionary rat, rewrote his page, redipped his pen, each I was dotted, each T was crossed. He labored on for all to read, nor deemed that time was waste or lost, spent in supplying the small need of Hodge the Cat. The dear old doctor, fierce of mien, untidy, arbitrary, fat, that gentle thought his name unfold, so generous of his scanty gold, so quick to love, so hot to scorn, kind to all sufferers under heaven. A tender, desperate ne'er was born. His big heart held a corner even for Hodge the Cat. The Three Little Kittens by Eliza Lee Folin, American poet, essayist, editor, 1787 to 1860. The 3 little kittens lost their mittens, and they began to cry. Oh, mother dear, we very much fear that we have lost our mittens. Lost your mittens, you naughty kittens, then you shall have no pie. Meow, meow, meow. No, you shall have no pie. Meow, meow, meow. The 3 little kittens found their mittens, and they began to cry. Oh, mother dear, see here, see here. See, we have found our mittens. Put on your mittens, you silly kittens, and you may have some pie. Purr, purr, purr. Oh, let us have the pie. Purr, purr, purr. The 3 little kittens put on their mittens and soon ate up the pie. Oh, mother dear, we greatly fear that we have soiled our mittens. Soiled your mittens, you naughty kittens. Then they began to sigh. Meow, meow, meow. Then they began to sigh. Meow, meow, meow. The 3 little kittens washed their mittens and hung them out to dry. Oh, mother dear, do you not hear that we have washed our mittens? Wash your mittens? Oh, you're good kittens. But I smell a rat close by. Hush, hush. Meow, meow. We smell a rat close by. Meow, meow, meow. And we have a poem called The Song of Mehitabel from Don Marquis's book, published in the late 20s. He's an American humorist and journalist. The book was called Archie and Mehetabel, published 1927. He lived from 1878 to 1937. In the dead of night, when no one's in the office where Archie lives, Archie, who's a cockroach, types his letters to his boss. He's unable to type capital letters and punctuation and has trouble with spacing. So actually, the text is lowercase. There are no capitals. It's really quite charming. This is the song of Mehetabel the alley cat. As I wrote you before, boss, Mehetabel is a believer in the Pythagorean theory of the transmigration of the soul, and she claims that formerly her spirit was incarcerated in the body of Cleopatra. That was a long time ago, and one must not be surprised if Mehetabel has forgotten some of her more regal manners. I have had my ups and downs, but what the hell? Yesterday's scepters and crowns, fried oysters and velvet gowns, and today I heard with bums, but what the hell? I wake the world from sleep as I caper and leap, when I sing my wild free tune, what the hell? Under the blear-eyed moon, I was pelted with cast-off shot. But what the hell? Do you think that I would change my present freedom to range for a castle or mountain grange? What the hell? Cage me and I'd go frantic, capricious and corybantic. And I am toujours gal. I know that I am bound for a journey down the Sound in the midst of a refuse mound. But what the hell? Oh, I should worry and fret. Death and I will coquette. There's a dance in the old girl yet. Toujours gal. I once was an innocent kit. What the hell? With a rim in my neck to fit. Oh, what the hell? But a Maltese cat came by with a come-hither look in his eye and a song that stared to the sky, and what the hell, and followed down the street the pad of his rhythmical feet. Oh, permit me again to repeat, what the hell? My youth I shall never forget, but there's something I really regret. What the hell? There's a dance in the old girl yet. Toujours gal. The things that I had not ought to, I do because I really got to. What the hell? And I end with my favorite motto, toujours gal. Boss, sometimes I think that our friend Mehetabel is a bit too gay. Finally, we have The Cat Show by the woman who put together this little booklet. There is my book. Well, I'll get it out later for those of you who are here who might want to see it. I have a book called Poems About Cats that I bought, which is quite lovely, and she put together this collection. Her name is Emily Fragos, American poet, born 1949. The Cat Show. Fastidious judges with dainty hands disinfect tables, disease must not be spread. The cats await examination, bred for showing, their coats caressed and muzzles scanned for perfect proportion, roundness, balance, brands. Oblivious and docile Persians are led from cages, ribboned, groomed, prudently fed. The judge tries to trick them, flicking peacock strands. The crowd feels shabby, awed by nature's ways. The finals, fullness, panache, and drapery, massive and slender, peaked or pug bodies, refined intelligence, lioness be praised. The priestess is held on high, sacred. The contest claims victory for gifts from God.